What would you do if the one person you trusted more than anyone on earth was using your deepest secrets as a weapon against you? The night everything broke was a Tuesday. I was sitting in my car, parked across the street from our Chicago brownstone on West Fullerton Avenue, the engine cold. The only light was the faint blue glow of my phone screen as I stared at the text message from a number I didn't recognize. It was a single sentence that shattered a decade of my life into a million pieces. She's not at her mother, my wife. My Sarah was supposed to be in Evanston, caring for her sick mom, but she wasn't. And as the rain started to streak down the windshield, blurring the warm lights of our home, I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone, that nothing would ever be the same again. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. For weeks, something had been off. It was a subtle shift, a change in the air between us. Sarah, who once filled our home with laughter, had become distant, her smiles not quite reaching her eyes. She started working late. Her phone became an extension of her hand, always angled away from me. When I'd walk into a room, she'd end calls with a clipped, "I'll call you back." I tried to ignore the gnawing feeling in my gut. I loved her. I trusted her. We had built a life together, a beautiful, intricate tapestry of shared dreams and inside jokes. To doubt her felt like a betrayal in itself. But the signs were like breadcrumbs leading me down a path I didn't want to follow. A credit card receipt from a hotel bar on a night she was supposedly at a work dinner. The scent of a cologne that wasn't mine lingering on her coat. She became a master of manipulation, turning my questions back on me. "Why are you so insecure all of a sudden?" she'd ask, her voice laced with a cold disappointment that made me feel small, ashamed. Her and her new friend Mark, a smug colleague from her firm, seemed to share a private world of jokes and glances that I wasn't privy to. They felt untouchable, wrapped in a bubble of arrogance. The breaking point came on our anniversary. I'd booked a table at our favorite restaurant, the one where I proposed. She canceled at the last minute. "Mom's not feeling well," she'd said, her voice flat over the phone. That night, I sat alone in our living room, the uneaten anniversary dinner I'd cooked growing cold on the table. The silence was deafening. It was, in that moment, surrounded by the ghosts of our happy memories, that the carefully constructed dam inside me finally broke. A wave of raw, unfiltered pain washed over me, so intense it buckled my knees. I wasn't just sad, I was humiliated, erased. I was a fool. That night, I stopped being a husband and started being a hunter. My grief hardened into a cold, sharp resolve. The love I had for her curdled into something else, something patient and methodical. I needed proof, not just for me, but for the world she had so carefully curated. Sarah had been seeing a therapist for anxiety, something I had encouraged. She said it was helping her cope with work stress. She'd even started recording her sessions on her phone to reflect on them later. It was her idea, a way to be more mindful. And it was her biggest mistake. While she was in the shower one morning, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. It was a notification from a cloud storage app. Upload complete. Therapy session 14. Curiosity, dark and venomous, got the better of me. I found the folder. It wasn't just therapy sessions. It was a diary of her deceit. Her voice, the same voice that whispered "I love you" in my ear every night, was calmly detailing her affair with Mark to her therapist. She wasn't anxious. She was exhilarated. She talked about the thrill of the risk, the way Mark made her feel alive. She laughed about how easy it was to lie to me, how I was too trusting, too predictable. She was using her therapy, a space meant for healing, to chronicle her betrayal, and I was paying for it. I downloaded every single audio file. It was the first stone in the avalanche I was about to create. The next few months were a masterclass in deception. I played the part of the loving, slightly oblivious husband. I listened to her stories about her day. I kissed her goodbye in the morning, all while the audio files of her betrayal played on a loop in my head. I hired a private investigator. I gathered financial records, hotel bills, and photos of Sarah and Mark leaving a boutique hotel in the Gold Coast, her arm wrapped possessively around her. I contacted a shark of a divorce lawyer in downtown Chicago, laying out my evidence on his polished mahogany desk. Eyes widened as I played a short clip from one of the therapy sessions. This, he said, leaning back in his chair, is devastating. We planned everything. The trap was set. The final act was to take place not in our home, but in a public forum where she couldn't hide. Sarah's father was a prominent figure in the city, a man who valued reputation above all else. He was being honored at a large charity gala, an event Sarah had been planning for months. It was her moment to shine, to be the perfect daughter, the perfect wife. The night of the gala, the ballroom at the Palmer House Hilton was glittering. Sarah was radiant in a backless gown, gliding through the crowd, a queen in her court. She had no idea she was walking into her own execution. When it was time for the family speech, I walked onto the stage. Sarah smiled at me from the front table, a proud, unknowing smile. I looked out at the sea of faces, cleared my throat, and began. I want to talk about trust, I started, my voice steady, and the stories we tell ourselves. I saw a flicker of confusion in Sarah's eyes. Then I pulled out my phone and connected it to the ballroom's sound system. The room fell silent. And then her voice filled the vast space. Not her public voice, but the one from the recordings, the one that laughed about my trusting nature, the one that described in graphic detail her nights with Mark. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. I watched her face. The color drained from it, her skin turning a waxy, pale white. Her smile dissolved into a mask of pure horror. Her father's face was a thundercloud of fury and shame. Mark, sitting at a nearby table, looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. I let the recording play for a full, excruciating minute before stopping it. I didn't need to say another word. I placed the phone on the podium, looked directly at my wife, and walked off the stage. The fallout was immediate and catastrophic. Her father disowned her. She was fired from her job. Her friends, the ones who had toasted our marriage, turned their backs on her. The legal battle was a formality. She lost everything. I sold the brownstone and moved out of Chicago, leaving behind the wreckage of a life that was no longer mine. Sometimes I wonder what happened to her, a ghost in a city that now despises her. The silence she left behind is a strange kind of peace. The rain on my window tonight reminds me of that night in the car, the night the illusion shattered. It was the end of everything, but it was also the beginning of me. I survived. She didn't. The end.